Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Anesta.
Morning.
Good morning.
All right, good morning. We'll call the pension board meeting to order this morning at 10:01. Ms. Kyle, will you take roll, please?
Yes, certainly. Mark Lanajay,
Present.
Romero,
Present.
Chad Brad,
Here.
and Sunny.
Present.
Chair, we have a quorum.
Great. So everybody let's move on to the approval of last meeting's minutes. Anybody had a chance to review the meeting minutes?
I make motion to approve.
I second.
A motion by Mr. Lenity to approve the minutes and a second by Mr. Sugden. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Up next, Mr. Madron, Capital City. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me? I
Yes,
guess
sir.
we have the packet in front of you, and if you can put that up on the screen, please. We'll start with the report for the second quarter. And if you page down to the policy review. So this page is simply to show that the pension fund is within the core operating range. Your policy has an operating range around it that I'm allowed to roam around in. And I am within the range on all asset classes. And also the equity is at 72%, which is underneath the cap of 75. So those two things are within compliance. If you'll note that large cap equities is up at 38.9%, close to the top of the range. That's because that's where the growth is in large US companies. International and small cap are underweight at the expense of large cap being overweight. Small cap is very much underweight because of a slowing economy, although that's starting to change as interest rates come down. The rest of the asset classes are pretty much neutral. And so any questions on the policy? If no questions, we can go into account performance for the second quarter. So this is through June. If you look at the latest quarter, the column that says latest quarter, 9.28% for the latest quarter, second quarter. That's a good number. And of course, as you know, we had a pullback in equities due to the Liberation Day tariff announcements, but once negotiations got underway, the stock market took off. In the second quarter, growth was better, and so you're seeing a rally at 9.28, 10.28 on the equity side, 3.5 for the high yield bonds, 1% on cash. So an outstanding second quarter to make up for the disappointing first quarter. So the year is shaping up to be okay. Whereas back in March and April, things were looking a little bleak. Any questions on the performance? Just to show you July's performance, if you go on to the next page, page 5, July was a good month. So calendar year to date, the equity side is up right at 8%. Equities were up 8.3, the high yield bonds 5.4 for the year, 2.5 on cash. So July was a good month. You want to page down to the charts, and then I'll turn it over to Burgess. Just to look at growth for a minute, our business partner Goldman Sachs has a growth forecast. We like Goldman. They have a lot of sharp people in their office up in Manhattan, and so their forecast as of inauguration day was 2.4% growth, but then the tariffs kicked in and caused growth to fall to 1.3 this year. And so the second half of this year, growth is slowing. We already have seen that from several other economic forecasters where growth is slowing down. However, next year, There's not much change between their forecast as of inauguration day and then after the tariff. So next year, we should return to trend growth, which tends to be about 2.5. Page down to the next chart, please. We can look at there. There we go. The effective tariff rate is at 16%, which is high. Historically, it's been higher back in 1930. However, it tends to be coming down as of late, although every week things change. So companies seem to be absorbing the tariffs, not all of them. If you have a product that's shoes or metal or aluminum, most likely that product price is going to go up. Page down to the next chart, please, on earnings growth. This looks at earnings growth versus consensus. The dots are the actuals and the bars are the forecast. So over the past several quarters, earnings have been good. They've been exceeding consensus. And so you see in the first quarter of 2025, 12% earnings growth versus a 6% forecast. This is what has caused the market to go up more than anything, is that growth exceeded expectations. Next chart, please. The last chart, actually second to the last chart. This is important. 33% of the S&P 500 index is made up of 7 companies. If you take the top 15 largest companies in the stock market, they make up 40% of our stock market just by weight. Okay, so for instance, Netflix is now the 15th largest company in America, right behind Visa. And so these companies, fortunately, are good companies. They're growing. This year, the only 2 that have stumbled have been Apple and Tesla. The rest of them have had outstanding growth. So the growth in your pension fund is coming from a handful of really good large companies. That's what's driving it, for the most part. The next chart, and the last chart, just talks about artificial intelligence and the difference it has made in earnings per share growth. On the left-hand growth, before you apply the benefits from artificial intelligence, and the right-hand side is growth after. So you can see most every sector of our economy is being affected by artificial intelligence. This is the year where companies are spending on equipment to build out the infrastructure for artificial intelligence. Next year is when you'll really see AI being rolled out. So ChatGPT is an example where people pay a fee to get access to ChatGPT, and companies use it, but they pay a higher fee. So that's just one small example. A driverless car is another example. And then if we go on to the summary, which is just a few points from Capital City, I won't repeat all of them, but it's just pretty much what I talked about. We're looking at 2 rate cuts this year, probably one in September. Tariffs have reduced growth. Equity valuations are high and they're distorted by the mega cap tech companies, and artificial intelligence spending is good. If we go on to scroll down to the asset allocation, and then I'll be done. So this is on page 14. The equity side is worth 10,920,291. That does not include the infrastructure or the private real estate. Your equities are at 62%, but it's higher if you include the infrastructure and private real estate. So it's definitely a moderate growth portfolio. The next page over are the index funds, low cost, effective use of index fund management from Vanguard and Fidelity. Really, that completes my comments. Any questions?
Hey, Dwayne. It's Patrick.
Patrick,
Okay.
do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wondered if he had the fiscal year to date through July. I heard him mention the calendar.
His question was, do you have the fiscal year to date?
Oh,
Or
yes, I
just-
do. Yes, I do. On the equity side, the fiscal year to date,
You're not picking up everything, right? In that number?
just the equity. Hold on, I have.
Okay, Patrick, just wait for me to give you my number. That's what you're looking.
I've got.
Yeah.
I've got the equity side at 7.12 fiscal year to date. That's
Thank
just the
you.
equities. But, okay, thank you.
I would accept a motion if there's not any questions.
Make a motion to accept the capital study report.
A motion by Ken Sugden to accept the report
I second the motion to accept the report.
and a second by Mr. Romero. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion passed unanimous. Thank you, sir. Up next, Mr. Burgess.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I think so.
So my report's a little different. It's got a cover on it. It says BCA and it's in your packet. It's great to be here today.
Thanks for coming.
Do you have a report? Yeah. Okay. The first two pages, I'll just mention briefly, but really doesn't affect you guys, but you're in this industry and I thought you'd like to know what's happening around you. So all of with respect to your assets, I mean, with the exception of private real estate, everything in your portfolio is marked to market. Every day there are buyers and sellers, so you have liquidity, right? Liquidity. But there was a notion about 15 years ago that gee whiz, if you just invested in companies that weren't in the market bouncing around every day, they're private equities, you could avoid all this volatility and be, more confident about the future, not worried about market trends. And this approach has been the darling approach for big college foundations. Harvard is cited here, $23 billion of their $53 billion in private. Yale, all the big University of Florida, Florida State, all these plans around the country, pension plans, as well as foundations and endowments have been big investors in private equity. Now, we have taken a position for the last 4 years, to stay away from private equity. And a lot of pressure from larger clients that we have to get into that space. We took the position that it got too big, too fast because of low interest rates, and that this euphoria, because of the lack of price discovery, the worst time to be buying into private equity was when everything was overpriced and no one really knew how overpriced it was. Well, turns out we were right. And this graph shows this relative growth, cumulative growth of the S&P 500 versus the private equity index. If you go back to 2009, you can see that's a long time ago. You can see that private equity is actually underperformed. But not only is that underperformed, but the fees associated with private equity have been enormous. We're talking 2%, 2.5%, big fees. You should have been a PE guy. You'd be retired now. So right. But because the dilemma is that the companies that run these private equity shops, they're run by a general partner, and the general partner sets the pricing of all the underlying companies, which is the NAV, net asset value. So it's like you taking a test, but grading your own paper.
Right.
What would you give yourself?
Right.
A?
100%.
There you go.
Yeah.
And that's what these guys have done for years. And it's now finally, I think more and more people are concerned about it. I've been concerned about it for years. Harvard, wow, they got a lot of money, right? They just borrowed $500,000 to make payroll. Their money, so much of their money is locked up in these funds, they can't get access to it. But anyway, the next page, you should know that by and large, all of your securities here are highly regulated by laws that have been around for many, many years, SEC. But our opinion here, our recommendation is that the industry begin to become more focused on quarterly third-party independent valuations of these PEs. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but it's something that ultimately has to happen in order to clean up the industry. What do you think of that? Would you agree? He agrees, that's good. All right. Let me jump to Patrick's question and I'll get to the summary on page 8. So if you roll everything together, the assets in the plan, which were valued at about 11.6 million at the end of June. Fiscal year to date, so that's performance from October 1 last year through June, was 5.3%. However, since then, equities have continued to go up. And I would guess that the cumulative returns now are in the close to 7%. Pretty
Thank you,
good,
Burgess.
huh?
He said,
I
thank
said,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome, Patrick. And if Patrick's happy, I'm happy. We'll see what happens. We still have a month and I don't know, what about 5 trading weeks left in your fiscal year? Just to have some fun here, what do you what would be a catalyst that would cause the stock market to go up even more between now and the end of the year, end of September? What do you think? I'm
Lower
asking you,
interest
what would
rate,
be,
lower interest rate.
that's one.
Oh, yes.
Everybody weigh in on this. What else should be a catalyst? Huh?
Oh, yeah.
I can't hear her.
Tariff agreements.
Yeah, I think that's right. Sure, yeah, global trade, the uncertainty about global trade due to tariffs has certainly been a concern. And all right, so we've talked about tariffs, we've talked about lowering interest rates. What else?
I already gave my answer.
Anybody else want to throw in there? What would be good for the economy? What would be good for future expectations? Earnings.
Yeah.
That's what we kind of forget about, but as was alluded to earlier, earnings have been coming in pretty darn good, and if earnings continue to be very good or exceed expectations, that'll be a nice support, if not a tailwind for equity valuations. All right, so on page 5 are the summary remarks. You all have received this in advance of the meeting and have looked at it carefully, right?
Correct.
All right, but I would say this, if kind of the big picture here, this plan continues to be run very efficiently. You have a very good team behind the scenes. You don't see all the things that have been going on, but you're in mostly index funds. You're in the right asset classes. The fees are really under control. Your expense ratio here is well below your peer group. The 1-year return here, all in, everything together, was about 11.4%, similar to the strategic model, and you're ranked in the top 38th percentile, which is very good. International was the best performer for the year, and this is something we haven't seen in a long time, followed by convertible bonds and Cohen & Steers infrastructure. Infrastructure combines a lot of, I would say, sort of value-oriented assets into area that we call infrastructure. Utility companies are a good example that you can get your hands around. And with AI, the projections of the demand for electricity growth in the United States is about 15% growth over the next 5 to 7 years. And it hasn't grown at all in the last 25 years because of efficiency. But these with the massive investments going in, anticipating that more and more people are going to use search engines and so forth to drive decision making and processes, they have to be powered up. So utility companies are making these big investments. They're planning on making more money. They're going to be selling more electrons. And that's one reason why utilities are very attractive. We have tried over the years to keep this program simple. And I must confess that my colleagues have overly complicated the asset allocations for these plans. They put in too much stuff, private equity, private credit, hedge funds, commodity funds. They just loaded up all these things with the notion of you're better if you diversify with more junk. But the way I look at it is when you do all that stuff, it's like on a hike with a backpack. You're just loading up more rocks in the pack and you slow down. You can't go as fast as everybody else. And the fees are high. You've avoided all that here. Finally, on page 15, if you look at the strategic model as defined in the footnote, this gives you a history of each of these sentences represents the asset allocation in the model from a certain date forward until the next date where it changes again, so forth. This goes all the way back to July of 1992. So this is a footnote on page 15. That's not the right one on the slide there. Keep going. There you go. See that? All that big paragraph there under footnote 1. That's the history of this, how these allocation shifts, pivots, going all the way back to 92. It's a long time. So we've been careful here over the years to try to give you the right direction, keep you out of trouble. And
it appears we've been steady on an upward trajectory. So
yeah,
that's a win.
yeah. I don't really recommend any changes here. Behind the scenes, there's always discussions about tweaks here and there, but I think everything's pretty straightforward right now. Any questions about anything while we're all here together? If you want to buy an electric car, I know they're really popular here. I read last night that if the contract is to buy the car is signed before the end of September, it counts. You get the correct tax credit. It may not take delivery until next July 26th. But as long as that contract is signed as of before the end of September, you get the tax credit. So you can sell your 250. Go ahead and put your contract down. Can you pull that thing with a truck, Tesla truck?
I'm sorry,
Your RV? Would you pull it?
with an electric?
Yeah. Okay, I didn't think so. Yeah. All right. Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Burgess?
No questions.
Accept the motion.
Make a motion to accept the BCA report.
A motion.
Second.
A motion by Ken Sugden to accept the BCA report and a second by Mr. Lenity. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
On to Ms. Parrish.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Morning, ma'am.
I have a few items for you. I can kind of see the screen. I'm not sure if these can be put up, but you might have them in your materials. The first is the memo on entities that boycott Israel. This was a new bill that the Florida House passed effective July 1st of this year, which amended a statute that basically says that in addition to the scrutinized companies that funds are not able to invest in, they are going to add this entities that boycott Israel list to that list of, like I said, entities that we cannot invest in. This responsibility will really fall to the consultant to inform the investment managers that moving forward, we need to keep an eye out. I'm not sure. I took a look at the list. I wasn't really familiar with any of those companies that were on there. Of course, your consultant would be much more familiar. The statute also says that in any agreement moving forward, there has to be language that says that if we find out that a company has been put on this list, that we can terminate that agreement at no cost to the fund. We think that this could become a politicized tool in the future, so we're really trying to adhere to the requirements in this statute moving forward. So we will, and I'm not sure if Burgess has done it already, but update the investment policy statement to include this information.
May I make a comment on that? We've already sent out the memo.
Okay,
We
perfect.
took the same
Yes.
template. It's on the screen and did a blast to every client, every manager in our universe that we work with. So it's been done.
Great, thank you. Okay, the next item that I have is we have the ordinance for the partial lump sum option. And we also have or I guess Patrick maybe we'll discuss, but we have the no impact letter that was requested by all of the funds to accompany this ordinance that basically will say by offering these options as payment forms, it's not going to cost the fund any money. And we were waiting on that at the last meeting. So with approval, this should be able to move forward to be put in front of the city council.
We'll have an option to look more closely at this during the workshop and ask any questions that come up.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, next is an updated summary plan description. So the SPD is something that's helpful to the members, kind of a summary of the plan in, plain language that can hopefully answer any questions that arise. This was mostly housekeeping issues, updating the administrator, board members, things of that nature. Nothing really major in terms of updates, but just making sure that everything in here is accurate in terms of who's on the board, etc. So
I have a question on that. I believe I seen something with the multiplier in there that was off.
Okay,
Let me see if I can find it. I looked at it and see if I can.
let me do a search for that.
It just had the wrong numbers for the multiplier.
Okay,
See if I can find what page that was on.
okay, let me look as well.
Page 3. Yeah, you have it set at 3.29, which we would love. It's not that currently,
That must be it. I'm sure that's a typo.
but that was it.
Where did we see 3.3?
Amount normal retirement pension. See it. Yep. second paragraph under that bold heading.
And then 3.35.
Oh, I'm looking at police. Maybe that's why I'm not seeing it as you are. Okay, it can still be approved with revisions, or it can come back at the next meeting. That's up to you.
And then when that revision's made, we just get a new copy.
Correct. I'll make a clean copy which doesn't have the strikeouts, just so it's easier to read. But like I said, it can be approved with that revision, or it can come back to the next meeting if you would like to see it before approval with that change.
Well, maybe we want to say that it's 3.22 effective October 1, 2025. You know,
Okay.
just because it changes, that's probably why there was a typo.
Okay. So effective.
But that looks pretty nice.
Yeah. So just as a housekeeping issue or a question I have, we're in contract negotiations now, and part of that negotiation seems to be that then the union is negotiating for a fixed rate multiplier. Should we wait and have this revised when we hear saves you some extra work?
We certainly can, especially if, you know, we think it's going to be in the near future, which hopefully it will be.
Yes, ma'am. I think they plan on buttoning up next month, and then
Oh, okay. Then yes, let's put this back on the agenda for the next meeting, and hopefully we will have that information, and then we'll be good to go moving forward, assuming that they come to that fixed rate agreement.
and that would be something that Miss Kyle or Miss Virginia would get to you, Miss
For
Parrish.
sure. Yes. Yes, and I can make a note to ask about that as well. Okay, my last item, we are trying to go through all of our clients and make sure we are kind of streamlining our processes. I did not find any procedures or operating rules in my materials. I did include a sample that was recently completed for Okaloosa Island Fire to just kind of give you an idea of what could be put together for the fund. Certainly good practice to have somewhere you can look and operating rules and procedures that should be followed to keep things consistent. I don't think this would be a huge undertaking. We do have a way to someone who would assist moving your information and kind of putting it into this format if that's something that you were interested in. So I just wanted to give you an example to look at. It just makes it a little bit easier if you have something in front of you. If there are procedures that I am unaware of, happy to, of course, take a look at those, but I didn't see any. I'm not sure that Jill had any, but again, you may have more information on that. But if
I
this
have a
is
question.
sure.
I guess, Ms. Kyle, this would question be for you, Ms. Kyle. How do these rules, have you had a chance to review these, and how do these procedures line up with consensus?
Every plan should have these operating rules and procedures with them. We do not currently have any for this plan, and I think it would be very helpful and important for clarification on rules and procedures for the plan to have Anna draft something like this for the plan. And it shouldn't be that expensive, correct, Anna?
It shouldn't. Most of the work is already done. It would really be taking a look at and again, if there's nothing in place, then we sort of have a good guide to look at. But a lot of it is going to be pretty consistent information on public records, government in the sunshine, committee meetings, minutes. All of that is really going to be standard across the board. It could change on, board makeup, things like that. But I don't think it will be a huge expense. Most of the work is already done, but it is helpful. And I will always look at it when I'm doing a disability and there's a denial. I take a look at this and see things like how many days do they have to respond, certain things like that. So we want to be able to keep that consistent, not change it up depending on the situation. And if the board follows this, then we're, hopefully going to run into less problems in the future. But again, most of this work is already done. If there are things that upon further review, you want to change it and make it 45 days instead of 30, things like that are not a problem.
This is your recommendation, Ms. Parrish?
It is. It is. I mean, it's something all the funds should have. It just really keeps the process streamlined. You don't want to treat one member one way and one the other way. We just, you really open up the board to some issues there.
And then this would become part of the ordinance? It would just become
It
part of the.
doesn't become part of the ordinance, but you do have authority under the plan document in the ordinance to adopt policies and procedures to facilitate the plan. So well within your authority to have these rules. And then that way, if something changes and we want to make a change in one of these rules, you can just do it at a meeting. It's not something that has to go through the city council because you're not changing the plan. So this really accompanies the plan, but nothing will change with the council or anything like that.
Great.
We have to vote on a draft for this or what's?
Yes.
There would just be a motion to allow me to get these set up for you. So just authorizing me to do the work.
Anybody have any other questions for discussion before we vote? I would accept a motion to have Ms. Parrish draft rules and regulations, procedures rule.
I'll make a motion for Ms. Parrish to draft operating rules and procedures for the pension.
A motion by Mr. Sugden,
I second the motion.
a second by Mr. Romero. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed unanimous.
And I will make a note, depending on what the other funds do, any work that can be reused would be split, of course, between the 2 or 3 funds, depending on who moves forward. Because I assume a lot of that information will stay consistent with the funds. So that cost would be split as well. I think that is it for me.
I guess we would be relying on you, Ms. Parrish, to kind of keep us straight as far as timelines go. How things would go in review, what you would need to help us through these processes should we have to.
For sure. And I would reach out to Kyle. I also will kind of look through the materials and see if I can figure out how things were done previously. So I'll try my best on my end to fill it in. Anything else that I would need would be for Kyle. And if I have any questions, I would bring it back to the board to collectively figure out certain decisions that we want to make for these. So it might be a little bit of a process, but we'll get it together.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Ms. Kyle.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have the flyer for the Police and Fire Conference, Daytona Beach Shores, that's coming up September 8th. And I'm encouraging everyone to attend. It's free to attend, hotel only, but the plan will pay for you to attend. As I was saying to Ken earlier, if I get the reservation quickly, we can send it right over to the hotel to prepay it for you
When do you need that by?
as soon as possible. I'll be back in the office Thursday. If it's sitting there, that will be helpful. The next is the 2026 upcoming conference list. You currently do not belong to FPPTA, but that is another conference throughout the city and an organization that's very helpful in training. Their courses are a little more expensive, but people do enjoy it. They go through the certification process to become a certified public pension trustee. And that is available if the board wishes to join FPPTA. You could look at their website online. I have the meeting dates and I don't know if it made it into the email. If it hasn't, I'm just going through the same schedule that we currently have, that it's the Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock, following the same schedule. The only date that's off is that I did not elect a meeting the week of Thanksgiving. So as this year, it's the first week of December. I don't know if you want to vote on it or you want me to bring it back to next meeting to verify, because it's not in your packet. But we're following the same schedule.
It just didn't come in the packet from, she added this, right? This was added in.
Yes,
Was
it
added
was
in
added
later.
in.
So, I'm okay with voting on it moving forward if it's helpful.
It would be helpful if you could approve the meeting dates. I have a list here if anyone wants to double check it first. You want to see it? Pardon me. Oh, it is in your meeting packet?
It is.
Oh, it is. I'm sorry. It's just not in the overhead.
Steve, would we like to vote on this?
Yeah, make a motion to accept the meeting dates for 2026.
A motion by Ken Sugden for the meeting dates for 26,
I second that motion.
and a second by Alex Romero. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion passed unanimous.
There's a group of handouts from my company. My boss put them together, talking about giving you an overview again of some of the things we do by the numbers, that he's been in business for over 30 years. I'm with the company 9 years, and the assets. Just for your information, we never really do a lot of marketing, so I thought this was a nice piece to have. The whose job is it anyway is you only get to see me here, and Virginia gets to work with Ruben in my office, but these are the people that are behind the scene working on things for accounting and payments and making sure the state reports are sent in. So these are numbers for you all to have and see that there is a whole team, just not one person. The contact list also highlights a management contact. There is a management hotline. If there's something happening that you have questions about, or a trustee comes to you with an issue that you feel is not being solved properly, you can call this management hotline at any time. Or if you just have a question about operational things, if you need be. But that hotline is there to make sure everyone has someone outside of the administration to go to the management of the company to ask questions about. The client service team, we have a dedicated client service person, that's Ruben Verdes, who is a wonderful worker, and Virginia gets to hear too much from him a lot of times. He's always asking the questions, because if it doesn't make sense to him, he's not going to put it forward. So he is back there and working on your behalf. So we just wanted to pass out those numbers to you. This is not something that will be published, but it has for your information. The good news is the premium tax money came in, and it shows you what was last year and what you got this year. If anyone's interested in it, if you want to compare what the money looks like to other plans, I brought a copy of the handouts of all the distributions for the state, and I have them up here.
How'd we do?
I think you did well going from 68 to 87. I think that was a good turn.
Sure.
And that was the last item I have on administration.
Great. So we're on to the quarterly expenditure report.
Yes, sir. You have the interim reports that are just here for you to review and receive and file. We have a listing of the distributions that come from Capital City that they provide for us in a timely manner for everyone to take a look at. And then I have the warrant for your review and approval, hopefully. Do we have any questions on the warrant? Just need a motion on that, and that will be the end of my remarks.
Anybody have any questions about the warrant?
I'll make a motion to accept the warrant.
Motion by Sugden to accept the warrant
Second.
and a second by Mr. Lenity. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
Motion approved. Thank you, Ms. Powell. Is there anybody here for public comment? None. I had a question on other business. What has been the update, or is there an update on the idea of a portal for our members to access? Is that something that will or will not happen, or are we uncertain of that?
The website is up and live. The Palatka website is up on the resourcecenters.com. And apparently there's a new payment system, payroll system that has been put through. And I have a request into the city to receive payroll information to move forward on that.
Cool. Any other business?
Put it on for the website. I've requested Virginia see if she can pull it up on the web so you all can see it. It's resourcecenters.com. And they're up to the top. There should be listed funds. And then it's pension plans. And then down to Palatka Fire.
Hey, Mr. Patrick, while they're working through this, are you going to be available for the workshop through Zoom?
Yes,
Great,
Yes, that's it.
great.
and we do have our own portal. I don't know if I've given you guys a quote for it, but ours has a fee to it, but each member would have their own login and they could do benefit calculations. I don't know if that's what you were referring to, or you were referring to the pension resource centers.
Is that something that we can get a quote on?
Yep, I'll definitely give you a quote between now and the next meeting.
That'd be great. This would give them access, would give members access to so they can help make decisions.
Right, I mean, when you retire now, you get a benefit calculation that shows all your options. And they could do that, an estimate, and they could say, oh, what if I wanted to retire a year from now? And it would show them, and they could put different joint annuitants in there. It's a really nice piece of software, but like I said, it does have a cost. So I will send you a quote, and then, maybe when I come to the next time I come there, like maybe in March or whenever I come, I could do a little demonstration.
That'd be great.
See what the guys think.
But as far as the workshop, how are we going to handle that?
Well, I think there's going to be an update on the negotiations of the contract is the main thing for the fixed multiplier. Is that correct?
We're still not finalized. They've still not finalized their contract, so we're still in
It's
negotiation.
still in
Yes,
negotiations,
ma'am.
but to give the membership an update of what's going on and where we currently are,
We can. Yes, ma'am.
that would be helpful. Thank you.
Patrick, I have a question. So say we negotiate with the city and we set a fixed multiplier for us. Do the retirees have an option to stay where they're at or come with a fixed multiplier, or how does that work?
Well, I would think that you would want to make it for all actives and retirees. Because, part of the issue was the retirees' benefits go up and down all the time, and we were trying to avoid that. If you let the retirees stay with the floating rate, it seems you've kind of not accomplished the goal.
Right.
Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does.
So if you
Take a look at the screen quickly. This is list the trustees, list contact information, dates of meetings. I put up BCA reports. I can put up capital city reports also. There's forms on here for active members. If they're thinking about retiring, if they want to go, contact information. I'll put the meeting packet up from today now that we finished it. And it's just a reference point that it's now electronic for people to go take a look at and see what happened in the past if they're interested in. But yours is the first one that's been completed and is up online, has Burgess's information on there.
Is this where we'll go for our green sheets for our year-to-date plan benefit, that everybody, that green sheet or that white sheet, the paper we get that shows the members?
We don't publish them. We just send them out once we receive them. So I can
Understood.
ask if it's something they can put on here, but again, it would be, each member would have to log in with their social security or something. And that's more work and money that I don't know if it's worth
Understood.
getting, but if somebody ever needs it, I get copies of them all once they're distributed. If somebody needs another copy of it, I could send it to them.
And when are those distributed?
Patrick, when's
Well,
the
Jen,
Mark?
usually when we do the valuation report, so February maybe. I mean, I can't guarantee exactly when.
Thank you.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Any other business? I'll accept a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Lenity
A second.
and a second by Mr. Strickland to adjourn. Meeting
And
adjourned.
we'll be back up at 12 o'clock.
That's correct.
All right. Well, good to
Thank
see
you.
everybody. I'll see you at 12 o'clock.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Appreciate it. We need to sign this one, Ms. Kyle.